Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats.
You know, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes it's the rhythm of the thing that makes it all work just so well. And if you're within the sound of my voice, that must mean you're in the seats with once more. As always, my name is Dave Voigt, and I'm the host of this podcast, where we sit down with a wide-ranging variety of entertainment industry professionals, and we pick their brain about current projects, state of the industry, how they got started, and so very much more in a light and in a conversational fashion. And if you like how we do things around here, I am going to go out on a limb and assume that you do, because let's face it, you're listening right now. And if you are listening, keep listening. Subscribe, push those notifications, give us a 5-star rating on your podcast provider of choice. We're available pretty much everywhere, places like Apple, Amazon, Spotify, Google. And plus, we archive every single one of our episodes over at our In the Seats YouTube channel. So if you can give us a like and subscribe there as well, we'd absolutely appreciate it. Also, don't hesitate to check us out on social media. We're on the Facebook, the Twitter, the Instagram, the Letterboxd, the TikTok, and probably a few other places that I've forgotten about at In the Seats for all sorts of fun updates. And finally, and I do dare say most importantly, please pay us a visit over at intheseats.ca for all the latest and greatest from the world of film, television, basically the moving image at large. Because guess what? If we love to watch it and write about it and talk about it, we'd love it even more when you come by and read about it and listen about it. So please do us that eternal kindness, come on by and pay us a visit. Anyway, you guessed it, we're back in Apple TV Plus country in advance of awards considerations, and we're, it's a little bit of slow horses, a little slow house. My God, it is one of my favorite shows ever. I absolutely love Slow Horses. If you haven't started watching Slow Horses, please go check it out because it is just so much fun. It's just on season 3 now, and I know season 4 is going to be coming up pretty soon with such a loaded cast with Gary Oldman and Kristen Scott Thomas and so many other people. It is, if you love your British spy mystery stuff, this is for you. But with the Emmys coming up and nominations happening, we had a chance to talk with people behind the scenes who make the show work as well as it does, and we talked with one of the editors of the show, the one and only Zsófia Tálas, and just coming on for season 3, and just her work on the show, and just sort of the art of editing, really, when you're coming to something that's already predetermined and existing, and like you're having to find rhythms for it all. And I mean, it's just interesting to talk with people who find their way into this business and all the different jobs that it takes to make the films and the TV shows that we love. But like I said, this is Emmy nominated. She is nominated for an Emmy. But check out Slow Horses. Again, Apple TV Plus. It is one of my absolute favorites. But first, enjoy our talk with Zsófia Tálas about the art of editing a show like this, because between you and me, it's a pretty darn good one. All right, perfect. All right,
Hi.
so Zsófia? Did I pronounce it?
Zsófia.
Okay. Obviously, first off, just thank you so much for the time today. I really appreciate this.
No problem.
Congratulations on your work on the show.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Now, this might be a weird question, but it's always something I'm kind of curious about. As an editor, when you come onto a show that already exists, do you have to sort of match their rhythm, or do you get to bring in your own style? Like, how does that kind of work? Because I'm always kind of curious about that, especially when you're dealing with a universe that already exists.
Yeah, I think that work probably starts with the director, honestly, rather than me. So I think, and also the script, I feel like has its own rhythm in a sense. So I'm trying not to impose my rhythm on it, if that's even a thing. I'm trying to go with whatever the creator of the show has thought of initially. Just let me know if it's too loud.
No, you're good to go.
Okay, good. So I mean, obviously we all try to keep some sense of continuity from the show or from previous seasons, but obviously each director has had their own style, and therefore we kind of go with their style rather than our own, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. I mean, do you have to binge the back episodes, or do you try to go in cold?
Sorry?
Do you try to go in cold on this? Like, do you not watch the previous episodes?
No, I did watch them, of course. I think that's crucial to know what the world of the show is and what the characters have been up to until that point. So that's very important to me. But it's sort of like in the back of my mind, but then I put it to the side and just really look at the rushes and what I have in front of me and try to make the best out of that rather than really thinking about how did they edit the show before. But of course, it was in when I watched the show, I was very analytical about what they were doing, and it does have a certain style. So you're sort of like not going to do anything crazy. You know that it's not that kind of show. So in that sense, I think it's just in the back of your mind to kind of place it in a certain genre, I guess.
Do you get to be on set to have moments to sort of get a feel for everything, or does everything come to you in the rushes, like in the studio?
It does, but they also invited us, both editors, on set a few times, and we did go. I mean, it's super fun to see the sets, the Slough House set, for
Of
example, and
course,
the
yeah.
park and all of that. I mean, it's amazing to walk there and just to meet the actors for a brief moment is also quite fun. But at the same time, it's that thing that Walter Murch talked about a number of times, and I'm sure so many other editors know this feeling of when you're there and when you see the space itself that they shoot the show in, it sort of feels like I kind of wish I didn't know some of this. I wish I didn't know the geography and how this room actually doesn't connect to that room that's supposed to be next door. You know, that kind of stuff is kind of is weird. And we do, as editors, we have a really particular job of and privilege of seeing those rushes firsthand and not knowing anything about what drama transpires on sets or whatever it may be, and just really seeing it for what the audience will see for the first time and trying to present them with like a totally, as much as you can, objective view of here's the show, and rather than these two actors don't get along, and not that that was a thing on this show, but you know what I mean. It's sort of like you don't want to bring all of that back plus knowledge into this. So I do like to go on set, but only very briefly to just say hi to everybody, get to know people, and then it's probably best not to go there too much.
Do you typically get the job sort of during production or pre-production? Like, I mean, are you sort of editing episode one while they're shooting episode two kind of thing?
Sorry, say that again.
When do you get brought onto the job? Like, are they generally in pre-production? Are they already shooting?
Right. No, no, no. Yes, pre-production. Definitely pre-production. So actually before even pre-production. So I on this job I was brought on quite early because the I knew the director before we worked together before. So we were kind of looking at doing this together in a way. So yeah, I knew about this quite early on. But yes, I think it's important to uh, as early as possible. So even before the scripts are finished, I think it's if it's possible, it's really good to have the editor on and have their take on it a little bit, and because we will be the last ones to sort of finish that script in a sense. So it's quite good to have a little peek at it before it's even finished.
Does the rhythm of the job change for you depending on whether you're, say, working on a short or working on a feature or working on a TV show like this? Because I can imagine, obviously, different forms, there's going to be a little bit of a different cadence to it.
Yes, of course. I think the rhythm changes within each production. Of course, it's and actually now that you mentioned, I think weirdly, I think short films are the hardest in that sense because it to tell a story in 15 minutes
Right.
is almost impossible. I think to actually really get down to the core of what you're trying to say and to make it interesting, funny, to have a beginning, middle, and end, a character journey. I mean, it's really really hard. So I think in some sense that a longer form is easier, but and of course within a show like Slow Horses or any TV show, the rhythm is going to be different because you're trying to tell a story in almost 6 hours rather than an hour and a half. So, and maybe trying to repeat some stuff so that you remind people, and that kind of stuff doesn't really happen in a feature film. So it is quite different. But so I love all of them. That really, yeah.
Now, I'm curious, like what got your sort of foot in the door into the business? Because I mean, I love talking to people, and it really feels that as long as they get a job somewhere, they can work their way through and learn everything. Because it's one of those things that especially in this business, it's so vital to know everything. So I'm curious, sort of, what was your sort of foot in the door moment to sort of get into the business? Was it editing or was it something else? Or
No, it was editing. I think I was really lucky. Basically, what happened was I went to film school in Hungary first, and we were supposed to do a short film as our graduation film. But the director I was working with had this crazy idea to make a feature out of a short budget. And so what happened in the next year was all of us who signed up for that script and for that to work with that director just worked so much, and all weekends, no money, all passion, no money kind of situation. And we created this really low budget feature film that actually ended up being quite a big hit in Hungary because it sort of tapped into something that was missing from the industry at that point. Just talking about current issues in Hungary and how we actually feel as modern people living in Budapest in 2015 or whenever that was. And so that actually really helped propel my career to be like, oh, I already have a feature film under my belt, which actually didn't do so badly. And we went to festivals with it and all this stuff. So that was one of the things that got me actually into the business. But then there's a whole other story of how I got here to London and how I did it here, because I kind of had to do it from zero, if I'm honest. Starting in a different country, it's quite a different thing. It didn't feel like, it felt like I started somewhere in Hungary and then I had to start again in here.
please do tell. That's amazing.
So after all of that in Hungary, I still felt like I wasn't confident enough maybe to call myself an editor. I felt like there's probably something more I can learn here. And I was just looking for another school that I could possibly do an MA, where I could do an MA. And I stumbled upon the National Film and Television School in London, in UK. It's actually not in London, just outside. And I got in and just moved here, not really thinking about where that's going to take my life. I sort of naively thought I'm going to live in both countries and just fly wherever the jobs are. And obviously I got stuck here, but not stuck. I love being here. But yes, the opportunities presented themselves, so I stayed. And yes, after that film school, it was quite quick, and I got an agent almost straight out of film school. Just by chance, someone watched a short film that I caught, a post-production supervisor, and they recommended me to my agent, who is now my agent, and just built up a kind of relationship network here that meant that from job to job, I was recommended from job to job. That's really how it happened. I just did whatever came my way, and was lucky that directors wanted to work with me.
I love it. I love it. Now, I mean, I'm curious, and it reminds me of the old line by Hitchcock, who always said he only shot exactly what he needed, so his editors wouldn't screw everything up in the post-production process. But I'm curious because obviously, there's going to be overages, there's more stuff. It's a collaborative process between you, the director, the script writer. Like at the end of the day, where does the creative payoff come for the editor?
Where does the what, sorry, come
Sort of the
from?
creative payoff.
Creative payoff. Oh, it's all of it. I feel like it's every single decision that we make is a creative decision. Um it's actually really hard to talk about it because it's so complex. As you said, we work with the writer, the director, in this case showrunner, exec producer, so many people, and composers, sound team, VFX. All of these people really genuinely put in so much effort that actually makes our work seem better as well. But we also do the same for them, so it's kind of like a really nice back and forth and a totally cooperative way of working. But but so I feel like it's a super creative job. I feel like a lot of people think of editing as a technical job and they don't really understand what it is. They just sort of go like, oh, you just put the picture
Right.
back
Yeah.
next to each other, and it's like that's kind of sounds quite easy. But when you actually show them, I've got 7 to 10 takes of each setup, and sometimes 3 cameras, and so many different angles, so many different performances. You can switch all the scenes around in the script and make a totally new thing, or you can literally make a comedy scene, a drama scene, and back and the other way around. And when you show them actually in action how that works, it's like, okay, there is freedom within what you do, and there's creativity in it. And I think it also just important to work with the right director who lets you do some of that, because I do like to work with directors who know what they want really, but also are super open to other people's opinions, like editors' opinions, and we can share thoughts with each other and create something together, rather than either of us trying to hold our ground, or that kind of thing. Yes, as you say, it's sometimes literally a frame can change how you feel about a certain scene. So if someone looks up at the end of a shot and does a little dirty look at somebody, it's going to mean something totally different than if they just look into the distance and think about what just happened. So all of this is somewhat our responsibility and our take on what we see and how we interpret the script and the director's vision. Because I always come back to the director's vision, because in a way I do feel like the script, the story is the script, the director's vision, and the show itself. That's for me, those are the kind of holy grails that I always go back to. So even if I think, oh, this could be a fun little editing trick to do, it's like the question is not how I do that. It's more like, do I have to should I do that? Or is it going to serve the story? Is it going to serve what we're trying to create here together? Because if not, then I'm so happy to let all of that go and not cut, for example, a lot of the times when you just, but yes, I think in a good case, you probably don't end up arguing about frames with directors, but it does happen sometimes. But I think usually if they have more faith in you, I think that's probably not going to end up happening to argue about frames. It's going to be less about that and more about, I feel like this scene needs more weight to this character, or I want to see it more from their point of view, or I think it's a little slow, and then it's up to you how you make that happen, how you make it faster, or whatever the note might be.
Now, obviously, like you said, you did study this, but I'm curious, was there something you saw in the younger days that sort of made you appreciate sort of the art of editing when it comes to cinema and television?
Yes, of course. I grew up with a father who was a massive cinephile and is a massive cinephile. So I got a full film history education from the age of 4, probably.
Love it.
I think probably the first time I actually registered that editing was even a thing was probably when I watched Godard, Breathless.
Oh, wow.
I remember that being the film of watching it around age, I don't know, 15 or something like that, and just really seeing it, like my eyes just open, like, wow, there's so much possibility here and so creative, so interesting, and feels so fresh, even though that film is quite old. And even as a teenager in the early 2000s, I was quite like taken aback by that film. So that was probably one of them.
Love it. Now, just to put a bow on this, I gotta ask. I know you're not based in LA, but are you gonna get to go to the show? You're gonna get to go to the ceremony?
Yes, I'll definitely go. I can't wait. it's such an honor to be nominated. I mean, I really wouldn't have dreamt it in my wildest dreams. So it's gonna be fun.
Well, congratulations on the work, and I mean, and enjoy the ride. Have fun with every second of it, honestly. But again, just thank you for the work, and thank you so much for the time today. I really appreciate this.
Thank you so much.
You're very
Thank
welcome.
you.
And don't forget to visit our friends over at Bay Street Video for all your DVD, Blu-ray rental, or purchasing needs this summer, as they are still open for curbside and some mailing delivery as well. Over at 1172 Bay Street, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, you can give them a call at 416-964-9088. That's 416-964-9088. Or send them an email at baystreetvideoto@gmail.com for any of your DVD and Blu-ray needs.